Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 184 of McRae Live. The date today is Tuesday, June the 29th, 2021, 12:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name's Dave McRae, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. And yeah, this is episode 184. What's going on, everybody? It is, it says it's 84 degrees Fahrenheit here in Toronto today. 84 Fahrenheit, it's at noon. It's probably gonna get hot. It was above 100, well, it was 40 degrees Celsius with the Humidex yesterday, and I think that's above 100 Fahrenheit. It was crazy. We're in the thick of summer here in Toronto, Canada. Hope you guys are doing well. And on the show today, I want to discuss, ladies and gentlemen, the line, the more he kills, the more he transcends. Dave, what's wrong? Nothing, why? Oh, no, just thought maybe there might have been. Shout out to Evan Mallon. Anyway, so... high school friend. He's not watching. Although if I get a text from him, I know he was. High school inside joke there. Okay, so it's going back a long ways, folks, 90s. So yes, the line is the more he kills, the more he transcends. Now, the reason, I know what some of you might be thinking. Holy shit, Dave, you can analyze the smallest fucking thing. You can just keep this train going. It's like people... I always know when there's somebody new that's watching me because they will insult that aspect of me, right? They're like, holy shit, this guy talks a lot. Yes, that's right. I know that. Holy shit, he can talk about something. You just... Yes, I know, that's right. I can always spot the newbies, right? You know, they watch me like, holy fuck, this guy just doesn't shut up. Anyway, so, and then the more he kills, shut up! The more he kills, the more he transcends. But this is a lot. Oh, God. These people think, I'm just going to write this nasty comment. Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead. It's what it's there for. You go ahead. It doesn't bother you? No, it doesn't. How come? Because I know I talk a lot. I know this. Anyway, so the more he kills, the more he transcends. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I've got some messages, as I'm sure other people in our Halloween space have gotten some messages. And that message is, it's like, what do you think? Oh, it sounds like Michael's going to be supernatural again. Oh, they're going back to the supernatural, right? And I'm kind of perplexed on why, though I do understand why they think this, but I'm a little perplexed on why their commenting is so black and white. Like, I guess she's talking to, I said this in my trailer breakdown the other day that this was one of my favorite lines in the entire trailer. And I hope this line ends up in the movie. And the reason why I say that is because it's not unprecedented for lines or shots or scenes, not scenes, but shots from scenes and lines to appear in a trailer that doesn't end up in the actual final cut. Then there's a variety of reasons why that happens, right? It's not necessarily false advertising because some like to paint the picture. Trailers are usually cut long before the picture lock of a film is complete. So again, like I said, it's not unprecedented that you may get certain shots or lines or a bit of dialogue that is in the trailer and it sounds great, but you go to watch the movie and you're like, oh, it's not there. That's kind of weird, right? It's not because they're like, we're gonna fuck up. No. Okay, so hopefully it does end up in the movie. And I love this line because it's a very Dr. Loomis line. But before we dive into the line itself, let me first talk about these messages that I've gotten. And people have been like, do you think he's going to be supernatural in this? And I'm like, well, he's always been supernatural. But Dave, you said, no. I said he's human. I've always said that he's human. He is. He's flesh and blood, like what Laurie says. But he's got that slight supernatural edge to him. And that slight supernatural edge is the unknown factor. It is that ingredient, right? Like imagine we have soup, right? We have soup, right? And we're throwing all these ingredients in. And the unknown factor to Michael's character, whether you realize this consciously or not, is one of the biggest catalysts that keeps this character cool. You know what I mean? And very different from Jason Voorhees or Chucky or Freddy or Ghostface or, you know, whatever the case is. It's that unknown factor. And sometimes the journey can be better than the destination. And that is why I believe, and I've always believed, that we should never, ever know what that is the reason he is the way he is. What is that supernatural element? How does it work, right? What is driving him? We should never know that. And I'll get into that in a second. So I think people have to remember that he did have a supernatural element in Halloween 2018. When David Gordon Green and Danny McBride said, we are taking Michael back to the roots, right? We're taking him back to the way he was in the original film. Well, in the original film, he had a supernatural element to him. What they mean by they're taking him back and they're making him more human is not human 100% necessarily, but they're taking him away from Halloween, 6, Halloween 5, Halloween 4, even Halloween 2. They're going all the way back, right? So he's not the Michael Myers of some cult thing. They're going all the way back to where he was in the original movie. And in the original film, he did have a slight supernatural, there, not there, but he is human. But what the fuck? I don't get this. How is he able to do that, right? So they went back to that part of Michael, that character, that version of Michael Myers in Halloween 2018. Now, was there a lot in that movie where you saw that slight supernatural edge? No. There's the moment with Oscar when Oscar is like, hey man, what's going on? He's drunk, right? And he looks over and I think it's the best Halloween-y kind of thing in the whole movie, right? He's there, he's standing there, he's watching what the fuck's going on. Oscar looks away for a moment, looks back, and he's not there. Didn't hear him move, whatever. He's gone. What the fuck's going on? And all of a sudden he appears in the motion sensors and shit. That's part of Michael's MO. That's what we've come to know, right? But the rest of the movie, there wasn't a lot of that per se. That's why I think the closet scene was largely a fail. I think you should have had her open the door and there's nobody there, but she turns around and then his face kind of emerges from the darkness, kind of at the back of the closet or something. That would have been cool, right? That's part of kind of that supernatural kind of vibe. But there wasn't a lot of that. But the Michael himself, it's not like he was just this guy. It might have seemed like that to you, but you have to remember he is the same guy from Halloween 78. So he's got that there. It's just that I don't think they utilized it as much as they could have, or maybe they should have in Halloween 2018. The slight supernatural edge is what I'm talking about, right? You never, in my opinion, you never want to fully know anything because that's part of the mystique. That's what it is. The second you let people know what it is, half your audience is going to think it's dog shit. The other half is going to think it's great. And then, wait a minute, no. Some of your audience is going to think it's dog shit. Some of your audience is going to think it's great. And then there's going to be a mixture of people in the middle going, well, yeah, well, and then you get people like me going, oh, right, you know what I mean? But if you never tell anybody what it is, and you keep us all in this perpetual state of mystique and mystery and unknown, and believing that we're on the cusp of figuring it out, but we just never do, the unknown is unknowable, then everybody goes to their own place of what maybe it is. And Michael remains in this cool realm for everybody because there isn't anybody that is like, oh, that's what it is? Because you don't come out and explain it. You don't come out and give anybody an answer, right? You leave everybody in this perpetual, and I know that might piss off, especially the younger generation today, but I know it might piss off some people, but that's why he works. That's what works about him, right? You get to Halloween 6, and everybody's like, oh, we're going to figure it out. This is it. This is it. It's a cult. Oh, really? That's it? And are there some people in the world that were like, yeah, it's a cult. It's a crazy cult. And Dr. Wynn, that guy that was walking with Dr. Loomis in Halloween 78, he was fucking in on it. And this, it was great. Kill for me, Daddy. Kill for me, Daddy. Yeah, that was really cool too. Yeah. I'm sure there are people out there. But then you get the other side of the coin. But really? That's what it was. That's why you don't tell anybody what's going on. You keep it as a mystery, right? It's unnecessary to know. That's what drives Michael in the big picture. So, okay, now that tangent's over, the more he kills, the more he transcends, I think is just, I believe, this is my informed, educated assumption, that I don't think this is the begin. Now, maybe that line may be a catalyst for something they do in Ends, perhaps. But in this movie, in Halloween Kills, I think it is just now bringing it from your unconscious, your subconscious mind, or bringing it from the back to the front, right? This is a very Dr. Loomis line. This is something Dr. Loomis would say. And it's not to be taken literally. I don't think that Michael is, this is my opinion only. You get others that are like, no, he's fucking good. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine. But I don't believe, if we are being true to the mythology, I don't necessarily believe that this line is going to come to mean anything significant. And I don't think all of a sudden now this line is going to become part of the plot. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a big thing, and we're going to figure out, and he transcends, and we're going to get inside his psyche, and we're going to know what the transcending, and we're going to see all this transcending, and we're going to figure out the entity that is. I don't think I think it's just poetic language. Like, I watched him for 15 years, sitting in a room, staring at a wall, not seeing the wall, looking past the wall, looking at this night. Death has come to your little town, Sheriff. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff, right? And it's to paint a picture for people who do not believe. Sheriff Brackett did not believe. He was skeptical. So Dr. Loomis had to say things like, I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him and another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. He's painting a picture. Under normal circumstances, you could walk up to somebody and say, hey, there's an escaped mental patient. I'm his doctor. He's very dangerous. He's going to fuck everything up. And the cops would go, woo! You know what I'm saying? Right? I mean, you don't have to get into this poetic, but there's 2 things that are happening there. He needs to paint a picture for Brackett because Brackett doesn't believe. He's not really buying it. It's like, come on, Doc, are you serious? Michael, you know what I'm saying, right? So he's got to really paint this real deep philosophical almost picture for what the fuck we're dealing with here, right? And it also acts as a little bit of tidbit of information for the audience. It's all you need to know about Michael. You don't need to know anymore. It was beautifully written. I get all I need to know about Michael Myers from that scene with him and Brackett, and I don't need to know anymore. That's it for me. Wow, okay, holy shit, right? He's planted the seed of the unknown. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy. You're like, you know what I'm saying? And that's it. That's why it works. And we didn't get that. We didn't get that kind of Loomis-esque sort of philosophical poetry, kind of poetic dialogue in Halloween 18. This is very Loomis. This is Laurie saying this because she knows, right? She is kind of that Loomis-ish person, I guess, for all intents and purposes. And her saying the more, Michael is flesh and blood, but a man wouldn't survive the fire or something like that. The more he kills, the more he transcends. That's great shit because, up until this point, Allison didn't believe, Karen didn't believe, right? Barker didn't believe, the only one who believed was Will Patton's character, who was, I think he survives, obviously, but you know what I'm saying? So she's, again, going into that dialogue, into that space, letting people know this is fucking serious. The more he kills, the more he transcends. Now, I do believe that she believes that. I do believe that whatever that evil is, she believes that. But I just don't want people to take it, I don't want people to get their hopes up for those that maybe think that this is the beginning of the answers that maybe you want. I think this is just another way of planting that seed, that unknown factor, that letting you know that yes, he's a man, he's flesh and blood. Obviously, he didn't just materialize out of the fucking corner of the room. He was birthed, he can bleed, he went to school, he was a little boy, he grew up, he shit and pissed and ate, and he's a human being. But There's something else there. And we don't know what that is. We don't know what that is. And that's what drives it. That's what keeps it going. So, yeah, the more he kills, the more he transcends. What does that mean? Well, it simply means the more he kills, the more powerful he gets, right? The more he kills, the more evil he gets. The more he kills, the darker he gets. The more he kills, the more like the devil he gets. I mean, it's a great line. It's a great line. But are we going to actually see Michael the more he kills? Suddenly his eyes are going to get red and, he's going to start to come out of the fire, come out of a house or something. And all of a sudden, his suit's going to tear, his suit's going to tear and biceps are going to, the more he kills, the more he becomes the Hulk. No, I don't think that's what that means. At least I hope that's not what that means. And I hope that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride and Scott Teems have not written that. And I hope they don't care. In my opinion, I hope they do not carry that into, yeah, that's right. Wayne Downey says more fancy talk. Right. Dude, you're bang on, right? Doctor, you know what Haddonfield is? Families. All lined up and down these rows. Blah, 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 blah. I forget what he says after that. All lined up and down these rows, something. You're telling me they're lined up for a slaughterhouse. They could be, right? You're bang on. It's all about trying to get the person to take it seriously. And so I think this is another one of those lines. But it's great for the audience, because what does that mean? We're sitting here talking about this. This is designed exactly for this. That line, the more he kills, the more he transcends, is specifically, in my opinion, at least it should be, designed to be just that and nothing more. For you and I and everybody else to go, what does that mean? We don't know, and we should never know. Because that's what keeps Michael Myers Myers. We know why Jason's doing what he's doing. We know Jason's backstory. We know why Freddy's doing what he's doing. We know Freddy's backstory. We know why Chucky's doing what he's doing. We know Chucky's backstory. Do you know what I'm saying? We know why Leatherface was doing what he's doing. Well, I mean, you could. We know the family, we know the backstory, we know where he comes from, right? We know where he is cognitively, mentally, all that kind of stuff. Myers, we know fuck all. Because remember, everything from Halloween 2 onward was erased. The only one that is canon is Halloween from 1978. Well, think of that movie, right? I mean, even the last time we saw Brackett, some people might think, no, the last time we saw Sharp Brackett was, you let him out. Well, no, that's Halloween 2. That's Halloween 2. The last time we saw Brackett was when he was in his police car and Dr. Loomis was like, I found the car. He's here. He's going to run the find out. And Sheriff Brackett's like, all right. He's like, okay, fine. And he drives off. That's the last time we've seen Brackett. In this universe, in this canon, that is the last time we saw Brackett, right? So there is no, you let him out. I didn't let him out. God, we know these movies off by heart, don't we? So for me, and again, I bring this up today because I think I see a lot of people that are messaging me. I'm sure, again, others in the space. Now, there may be people that disagree with me, right? But I'm going back on what we know. I'm looking at the pattern. I'm looking at the first movie, what was established and what is likely. Now, is it possible that this line could mean more than it really does? And David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, and if Scott Teems helps to write ends, well, I'm sure it's already written if he was involved in that. Could they use that line to be the catalyst that opens the door up to all the answers? Yes, it could. You could do that 100%. And maybe they will do that. And maybe too much of the joy of everybody, or not everybody, but for some, they would do that. Maybe they would. But I hope it's not. There are ways you can end Michael Myers, end the story, without ever knowing what it was, and that's where, whether you realize this or not, that is where a big part of the love of the character comes from, because you're always, as an audience, you're always on this journey. Whether, again, you may not be thinking of this consciously, but you're always on a journey. You as a viewer, you as an audience, the characters, right, in the movie are always on this journey thinking that they're about to figure it out. Not all the characters, but that one person that's like Dr. Loomis, right? You know what I mean? And in this case, it'd be Laurie and all that. But you never need to figure it. You should not figure it out. Now, some of you, maybe a lot of you, may disagree with me because you want to know the why. But you have to understand that if you are prepared to know the why, you must also be prepared to be very disappointed. Very disappointed. Let's go over to this other screen here for a second. I want to show you something. I want to give you an example. Let's go over here to this screen. Okay. So you see this guy, right? This guy. See this guy here? James Jude Courtney dressed as Michael Myers. All right. I want to do something. I want to give you sort of a verbal, illustrated kind of walkthrough of what I'm talking about. Now, this, in my opinion, there's a lot of great shots of Michael Myers from the trailer. But this, in my opinion, is probably the best one. I love the use of light and shadow, the fire behind him. I love the way James Jude Courtney looks here. Great shot, right? We all can agree that this is a great shot. Now, I want you to look at this feeling how you do right now. We all can agree, right? Does the chat room agree that this is a cool shot? I want to send it to the chat room right now. Do you agree that this is a cool shot? This is a cool shot? I think we all can agree on that. I'll give you a few seconds to answer because there's a bit of a delay. I think there's about a 10-second delay between me being live and actually you hearing me. Do you guys agree? Just put like, yes, cool, awesome, thumbs up, whatever. We all agree that this is a cool shot, right? Yes. Evil Alex says yes. And yes. It's cool, right? Like we all agree that this is awesome, right? Yep, it's cool. It's cool, right? It's cool. Yep, for sure. Now, part of the reason why you think it's cool is because yes, it looks cool visually, but there's an unknown here, right? There's an unknown factor. You know what I mean? It's mysterious, the mystique, the unknown, the boogeyman, the shape, right? Now imagine looking at this shot, knowing the answers, knowing the why he is the way he is, knowing the why of what was driving him that night. And what was driving him that night was a ritual that was done in an underground bunker in a cave in 1977. And it was a bunch of fellow doctors from Smith's Grove. See what's happening here? See how you're feeling? Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, that actually sounds really cool, right? But I bet you there's a portion of the chat that's going, whoa, hang on. What cave, right? And now look at the image. Look at the image and listen to my voice. There's like an underground cave with a bunch of these doctors and these machines, and Dr. Loomis was in on it, but then he didn't want to let anybody know. And that you see how that's changing your feeling almost looking at this. Now, again, there could be some people going, oh, hey, I really like that. That actually sounds really cool, right? That's actually, but I bet you there's some people in the chat that are going, whoa, hang on, stop. What cave? Dr. Loomis in on it? What? That doesn't, hang on a sec. That doesn't really, what's going on here? And looking at that image, listening to my voice, it's kind of changing your feeling a little bit inside, isn't it? Isn't it changing the feeling a little bit when you're looking at the image here? Now, it doesn't take away that it's a cool image aesthetically, like in a vacuum on its own, right? All on its own in a vacuum. You could put that picture on a wall or have it as your thumbnail or your screensaver, whatever. It's a cool image, right? Very cool image. Like it's a really cool image. But when we're talking about the mystique and the mystery and what's driving the character, right? When you look at this image and you don't know anything, it's like, wow. But when you look at this image and then I start filling in answers for you. Now, I could also fill in answers for you that might actually really be cool, right? And maybe answers that, I'm going to the extreme to make a point, obviously, right? But that is the point, right? We don't know what they would write. And we know what was written before. It was a cult and Dr. Wynn was in on it and Jamie was impregnated by Myers and all that. And it makes you look at Myers kind of like, and it takes away from that. The reason why this is cool, aesthetically, it's a great shot, well composed, color corrected, everything looks amazing, but it's because you don't know what's behind there. What is it? What are the, why? Why is he doing what he is doing? What is it all about? Why? Why now? Why now? What's going on? You know, a little boy and he killed his sister. Why? Imagine if you found out that he killed his sister because he was actually sexually attracted to her and he was jealous. Do you know how much it would take away from looking at this image now? Like, oh, that's why. But if you don't know why, now look back at this image. You feel that? You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference there. There's a big, big difference. And that, in my opinion, is why we should never know, because then we all experience it the same, right? We all go, maybe I will have my own idea of what it is, and you'll have your own idea of what it is. But nobody is going to think something dog shit, right? We're all going to think of our own ideas of what might be cool. Like I might, speculate that, well, you know what? I think it's just some unexplainable outside force that is, whatever the case is. But maybe you are somebody that loves the idea of a cult. I'm just saying, maybe you are, right? But if they give you an answer that isn't a cult, you're going to be really disappointed, right? But if they give you no answer, then you can on your own just kind of go, oh, maybe it was a cult or something. That might have been cool or, whatever, right? It's the unknown factor. The unknown must remain unknowable. I know that might be hard for some, especially some younger viewers who we've grown up in a world now where they hand you everything on a silver platter and we're in this need to know like everything. We know all the details and every little thing. But by doing that, you strip away a lot of the mystique and the mystery of a lot of stuff. And Michael, it wouldn't be a big deal, folks. It wouldn't be a big deal if the foundation of Michael Myers was not built on mystery and mystique. Right? It wouldn't be a big deal. If we had discovered that Laurie was Michael's sister in the first Halloween and, we found out that Michael was just an abused kid, something like that, well, then that's a different foundation, right? That's a very, very different foundation. It's like Rob Zombie's Halloween. His foundation was very different. It was not built around the idea of mystique, mystery, unknown. That doesn't mean there wasn't a mystique to him, but it wasn't built on that. It was built on that he comes from a shitty childhood. He's an abused child, maybe even sexually, maybe we certainly know emotionally, maybe, physically, whatever. We know where he comes from. So you can play, you have more room to play, admittedly. But when you build this, and this is what this character is, this isn't George P. Wilbur. This isn't Don Shanks. This isn't Halloween 2 even. This isn't Dick Warlock. Halloween 2 does not exist. As much as I wish maybe it kind of did, every single thing that happened in Halloween 2, every single thing that happened in Halloween 2 does not exist. Does not exist. This is the Michael Myers from Halloween 1. So, think about that Michael, right? Then look at the image here. You feel it, don't you? Now think of George P. Wilbur, Halloween 6, and pretend that this Michael is from that, and then look at this image, and then you get a different feeling, right? You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. That's why it's so important. That doesn't mean that you can't drop a little hint, or that you give the audience and the characters this, we're on the cusp of, but we never do. If Michael is going to die, and I do believe he can die, I do believe that. But if Michael is going to die, he must die with the audience and the characters never knowing. Or, and this is going to piss off a lot of you, he dies with one of the characters knowing, but the audience never does. It just cuts to black. That's how you do it. Because that's the point. He's an enigma. He's the boogeyman. He's the shape. He's a force of nature, like the wind, and that has, in my opinion, that doesn't mean you can't, it doesn't mean you can't evolve, but it's got to be preserved, because if you don't preserve it, if you let the cat out of the bag, then Michael, there's nothing distinct about Michael anymore. He's just another big brooding character that kills a lot of people. That's it, But because it's Halloween, there's something mysterious about Halloween anyway. There's an unknown mystique to Halloween anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's gotta remain. It's gotta remain. in my opinion. And that's so, going back to the line, the more he kills, the more he transcends. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that at least in this movie, Halloween Kills, I don't think it's a major plot point. Now, you may see the kills get more violent and violent as the kills go on throughout the movie. That's possible, and that sort of buys into that, right? But I don't think it's gonna become a major plot point where it's the driving, oh my God, what does she mean by that? What is that thing that's transcending? We gotta figure it out, and we get, no, I just think it's a line. I just think it's a line that paints a picture again, that keeps that unknown factor going. It helps to perpetuate that and keep it into the audience's conscious minds of that there is something else there. Yeah, he's human, he's flesh and blood, but there's something else there. What is that? I don't know. And that's what keeps the discussion going. It's like talking about Bigfoot. Listen, as much as I would love to know for sure, conclusively, 100%, that Bigfoot's real, and I don't think he's real, but I'm just saying, to know for sure, right? 100%. To know for sure that yes, aliens exist and they've been here. I kind of believe they do, but I'm just saying, to know for sure, right? No ifs, ands, or buts. It's out there. It's 100%. There's no questions, nothing. There's something about the mystery and talking about it and getting together with your friends and sitting by the campfire and, looking up at the stars and wondering. There's a mystery to a lot of the things of the universe, right? Whether it's, Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, you know what I mean? There's always a mystery. The journey is very fun. Right? The journey is very fun. Part of the fun of going ghost hunting is the journey, is the unknown. Well, if you know ghosts are real, there's no more, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't evolve it, but it does strip away a mystique and a mystery to the journey of the discussion, of whatever it is, whatever mysteries of the cosmos, whatever mysteries are out there. There is something to be said about being in this, I wonder, I don't know, I wonder, you know what I mean? And if you give somebody an answer, you're undoubtedly going to give a lot of people the wrong answer. So why give them an answer at all? It would just let them stew in their own brains of what their own ideas are. And then everybody's fucking happy. You know what I mean? And so, again, not to beat a dead horse here, but you always beat a dead horse. Well, that's true. I'll be, yeah. But so those are my thoughts. So to recap, I believe that the more he kills, the more he transcends is just a poetic piece of dialogue to help perpetuate the supernatural element side of Michael Myers, which was not overly present in Halloween 18. But it's not like all of a sudden there's something that's happening that's making him go from human to supernatural. Maybe that's what they had in their minds, but he's always had that element in my mind. He's always had that element. He was that way in Halloween 18. They just didn't utilize it very much. So he seemed more, and when you see him there in chains, in the middle of a courtyard, yeah, he's in a very humanized, kind of situation. Do you know what I mean? I have a feeling that maybe this movie is going to be the other side of that, right? So we see that balance. So Halloween 18, we see that flesh and blood a little bit of human side there, but then we see, supernatural side. But then when we go to kills, we see more of that supernatural element, right? But I just don't want to know what it is. I don't want to know. I don't care if the characters should want to know what it is. They should want to figure that out. But I couldn't care less whether no, I shouldn't say that. I should say that I care very much that we continue to never know. Because, it's part of what makes Michael Michael. It's part of what makes Michael Michael. So, the more he kills, the more he transcends. Very Dr. Loomis. I think it's just another line to help solidify the idea that, hey, there is this supernatural element there. You all didn't believe me? Now fucking listen. Yes, he's flesh and blood, but a man could not survive that fire. There's something else going on here, right? Like there's something else. What is it, Laurie? I don't know, but there's something else there. The more he kills, the more he transcends. Are we going to find out what he's transcending to? No! No! That's why it works. That's why it works. That's why it works. At least I hope not. I hope to God we don't find, by Halloween ends, he's like, woo, he's floating in his eyes, he's shooting lasers and shit. Oh my God! You know what's crazy? As much as I would like to think the vast majority of people out there would find that dog shit, would be like, well, okay, they've jumped the butcher knife. What the hell is going on here, right? You know as well as I do, there's at least one person out there. There's one person, I don't know who they are, but there's at least one person out there that would be like, whoa, it's fucking cool, man. Holy shit, Michael's like fucking levitating. He's got huge biceps. He's shooting lasers out of his eyes. This is amazing. There's somebody out there that would like it. You know as well as I do, there's somebody out there that would actually really like that. It's crazy, I know, but it's true. So those are my thoughts on the more he kills, the more he transcends line, and what I think its role is in Halloween Halloween Kills. But I mean, we shall see, right? Now, again, that doesn't mean that you're not going to see him get that the kills may not get more violent and gory as he goes along. That may, yeah, true. But I'm talking about what the transcending means. What is he transcending to? What does Laurie mean? Maybe there's more after that too, right? That's something you have to keep in mind too, is that this could just be a very short part of a much larger bit of exposition. It's entirely possible that she says, the more he kills, the more he transcends. And then somebody in the room goes, what the fuck do you mean by that? And she goes, listen, and then she goes and she starts talking about something else. That's entirely possible as well. So you have to keep that in mind too. You have to keep that in mind as well. That could just be a fraction of a much larger scene with exposition. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that, folks. Those are my thoughts on that. Let's jump over to the chat room and see what you guys are saying. I think a super chat did come in. Let me go over here. I'll go over to the super chats. I think only a couple came in. How many came in? Yeah, just two. Okay, good. Kyle Buckley sends in $5. Thank you, Kyle. Says, yo, Dave, it's my birthday today. Can I get a B-Day shout out? Thanks, homie. No. No. His heart probably just sang, no, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kyle Buckley. Happy birthday to you. Have a great birthday, my man. Wayne Gottke sends in $5 and says, how has Barker gained so much weight even though it's the same night? That's what I want to know. Has he gained weight? Omar, what's his name? Omar something or other? He didn't look heavier to me. Maybe he is. But he didn't look heavier to me. But I'd have to take a look. I'm not really sure, man. Frank Riker sends in $10, excuse me. Thank you, Frank. It says, Dave, hypothetically, when do you think Loomis knew Michael was evil? A glance, a tick, a sudden movement? Also, I would like to see Laurie spring out a Loomis journal on how to stop him. That actually might be pretty cool. But then you're like, how did she get the journal, right? Maybe Marion Chambers has the journal. That would be more interesting. Yeah, maybe Marion Chambers has the journal. When do I think well, this is obviously pure speculation. This is all fun because obviously we don't know. I think, well, it said he spent 8 years trying to reach him and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up. So I think in those 8 years, he was struggling. I think Dr. Loomis was really struggling in those 8 years. He didn't want to, because he's a man of science, right? And that's what makes his character so fascinating. And the exposition that he's giving Sheriff Brackett in the first Halloween so polarizing, so important, because this is a man of science. He's a psychiatrist, right? For him to be saying the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I mean, wait a minute. What? That doesn't really make any sense, right? Why would he be talking about that? He should be looking at it more of a scientific, clinical sort of aspect than some sort of spiritual, philosophical, religious, woo-woo aspect, right? So I think in those 8 years, that was when he was struggling. And then by the end of those 8 years, he came to realize that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. Well, what does he mean by that? We don't know. Why not? Because you're not supposed to, but I want to know. And that's why it works. So, and then he then he was all about not rehabilitation. Like in those 8 years, I think he was really about trying to rehabilitate him, because he was young enough when he committed the crime that he could have perhaps been rehabilitated and placed back into society. But after 8 years of there's no way of reaching this guy, then I am going to spend the next years of my life trying to keep him locked up. And I'm sure he struggled with other doctors, scientists, psychiatrists, other people who were like, what the fuck are you talking about, right? Other men and women of science who didn't buy into it. And maybe Marion Chambers was the only one that did. Maybe because she was Dr. Loomis's nurse, that Marion Chambers had a bit of a different perspective, right? And maybe Marion Chambers, we still don't know her endpoint here. Well, I've read some things, but what's her endpoint? What's her gateway into Halloween Kills? Why does she show up in Haddonfield? What's the point of her? Why is she there? What's the character's motivation for her to be in Haddonfield, right? It's got to make sense. I don't think she lived in Haddonfield. I never got that impression. Obviously, it's Myers, and that's what drives her back. And that's why I am fascinated to know what sort of information she's going to have. And I hope they give her character its due before they, it's kind of obvious what happened in the trailer there. So yeah, I think it was probably, I don't know if there was ever a sudden moment. I think it was a progression. I think it was just over those 8 years. It was like, it was a progression. And a journal, yeah, I think it would make more sense if they wanted to go that way and use Loomis's journal as sort of a blueprint of maybe how to stop him or what to do. Might be kind of interesting, as long as you don't give too much. Don't give too much. I think it would make more sense from a character motivation or from a character perspective that Marion has it. And Marion, maybe that's what brings her to Haddonfield, right? Like that would be cool, right? What brings her to Haddonfield is because she's got this journal. Now, I don't think they're going to do that. But again, that's her motivation, right? That's her motivation. Because she can't, if she just shows up, yeah, you could say she saw it on the news or she had a feeling, an inkling. Okay, all right. But, I think it would make more sense if there was like a journal. Like, I need to get this into the hands of Laurie. I need to bring this information to the town of Haddonfield. That might be, and maybe it's a journal that nobody knows about. Maybe it's a journal that Loomis told Marion to keep there. Don't fucking let this out. Because you let this out, these fucking, bureaucratic bigwigs are just going to exploit it. They're going to suppress it. They're going to whatever, right? Maybe there's some sort of conspiracy. Like, that's fucking cool, man. That's cool. I don't mean conspiracy in that they're behind Myers' evil. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about purely basic level stuff. Like, it's just run of the mill bureaucratic shit. Like, I don't mean cult stuff or anything like that, right? Just normal dumb shit. But that might be cool if she had this journal, and that's what brings her to Haddonfield, to get it into the hands of Laurie. That would be cool. That actually would be cool. As long, and again, that I can tell you that's probably not going to happen. But that would be cool because it's great. It fills in some exposition, and it would be cool that Dr. Loomis is present without being present, and you could have the voiceover even, with some of the pages and shit. That actually would be cool. I don't know if you were going that far, but I think that would be cool. That would be cool. I totally agree with that. Yeah, 100%. Super chat comes in from Rad77, sends in $4.99. Thank you, buddy. He says, how much significance will the Myers house play into the backstory of this trilogy? It was spoken on in the new trailer. Well, not to give spoilers away, I have, again, I've read the leaked script that is out there. Let me just say that the Myers house plays a significant role in the film. But that's not a spoiler. We knew that even with David Gordon Green. He hinted at that. So I'll just say that. That it is there. And I look forward to seeing what it looks like, because they would have had to have rebuilt it. Like, they're not using the Myers house in South Pasadena. Obviously they would have built it on a soundstage. I think on a soundstage, unless they found a lot where they could have done that, but it was likely built on a soundstage. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like. I really want to see what it looks like. No doubt we'll be analyzing that. Sil, what does that say? Gee, I don't have my glasses on. I don't know what it says. Sorry, I don't know my glasses. Sil, I'm sorry, Marlon? My glasses are in the other room. My apologies, buddy. $5. I'm upset that Myers gets out of the house by killing his way out and not kicking one out, disrobing and switching clothes to sneak. Oh, I see. Okay, you're making a joke. I get it. Yeah, why doesn't Myers just kill one of the firefighters, get buck naked, take all the firefighter shit off the thing, and get into the firefighter's clothes? Why doesn't he do that? I don't know. Halloween Resurrection. Why not? That'd be funny. That would be very funny. Michael Trapson, my man Michael Trapson is here. Nice to see you, Michael. Lee McCoy is here. Great to see the Drum Dums is here as well. Great to see you guys. Chris Snyder says, I think the house is going to be pretty prominent. Yeah, it will. Michael is trying to go home, and we're going to flashbacks of it, and I think Cameron and Allison go to the Myers house, and Cameron is attacked. Yeah, well, that definitely is the Myers house. In the trailer, when Cameron's got the gun and he's walking upstairs, that's definitely the Myers house. You can tell by the little, the knobs on the railing behind him to his left, his right, our left. Let me say that, I was going to say something now. I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it. I was going to say something. I forgot what I was going to say. Damn, it'll come to me. I'm sure it'll come to me. I was going to say something, and now I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to capitalize on something. Gary Rangel says, Dave, when Laurie says, I'm coming for you, Michael, does that mean one of the main characters bit the dust? Maybe. It might mean that, or it could just mean that, she's coming for him. You know what I mean? I think she would probably come for him. And I don't think any of the, I'm not saying that there aren't people that don't die in this movie. I'm just saying that I don't think Laurie needs that motivation to go and kill Michael. She didn't need that motivation in Halloween 18. She certainly wouldn't continue to need that motivation. It's about fate. It's a driving. She needs to kill him, and she will. It's very clear that she will spare no expense to make that happen, if that means even leaving a hospital prematurely. Do you know what I mean? So, certain people could be killed, and that might be extra juice for her extra motivation. But I don't think that is needed for Laurie to, as soon as she finds out that Michael is alive, she's going to want to go and fucking tear shit up. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? So, yeah, for sure. Damn, what was I going to say? There was something I was going to say, and I can't remember. He-Man, you boob. Good old He-Man. Darren Sands says, is there one shot of the OG mask in the trailer? I don't think so. Yeah, that shot of, some people have, I'm not saying that this is what you're saying, Darren, but there's a great shot in the trailer where we see James Jude Courtney walking towards the camera all in shadow, right? And some people have speculated that that's from the flashback. I don't believe so. Number one is James Jude Courtney is not playing Michael Myers in the flashback. And number two, it actually looks like, if you look closely and pay attention to the image, it looks like James Jude Courtney is unmasked when he's walking to the camera. Now, you can't see his face, but if you know the shape, and this is going to sound really, really nerdy, but it's just true. If you know the shape of James Jude Courtney's head, he's got a bald head, right? And a little bit of hair on the sides. Pay attention to the shape of his head. It looks like James Jude Courtney's head. Like, it doesn't look like Michael Myers, the hair and the mask. It doesn't look like that. The way the shadows are, the way that you can see it, it literally looks like James Jude Courtney as Michael Myers walking towards you unmasked. Now, you can't see his face at all. It's completely silhouette, which is the idea. But it doesn't look like it doesn't look like that person is wearing a Michael Myers mask. So I don't think that's from the flashback at all. I think that's from later in the movie when he's unmasked. And that's what I think it is. And yeah. And I kind of like that a bit.
I hope we don't see his face. I hope there's never a moment where we see his face. Now, maybe that's what they're planning to do in Halloween Ends. I don't know. But I certainly hope there isn't a moment where we see his face at all. I don't want to see that. I think just... But I'll be very curious to know, he's walking... Is he looking for his mask, or does he not give a fuck? Like, I've always been of the mindset, of course, again, that Michael is a predator. He's a force of nature. And so it's very instinctual what he does. He doesn't really care what he looks like, or, to a degree. I know he the mask and all that. But I think it'd actually be kind of cool if I got to admit, I actually think it would be kind of cool if Michael loses his mask, right? However he loses it. Maybe he looks, or maybe we see him kind of, no, we don't see his face, but we see him looking, not searching for it, but looking kind of to the ground to see if it's there. And if it's not there, he doesn't give a fuck. He just keeps going. That's cool. And then we actually see him perform a couple of kills without the mask. Now, we don't see his face, right? But you can tell, like, silhouetted, you can tell that it's the bald head, and he's he's killing, because he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care, right? And then he's walking and he comes across it. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. Or he sees somebody with it and he kills that person and then he takes it. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if they're going to go that way. But I really do. If somebody presented that to me in the writer's room, I'd be like, My first thought would be, okay, as long as it doesn't last too long, I don't think we should ever have Michael without his mask for a long period of time. But maybe like he's looking for his mask, can't find it, goes and kills somebody, then finds it. So all of like, a couple of minutes, nothing major. That might be cool. But whatever they do, it's clear that he's unmasked in this movie somehow. I kind of know how, actually. But it's clear he's unmasked. And some of you do too as well, those of you that have read the script. But I just hope it's nothing. I hope we never see his face. We never see his face. And it's not for an extended period of time, right? And for the love of fucking cake, nobody else puts his mask on. Do not have anybody else putting his mask on. Just want to say that. Let me see here. Josh McGrath says, Dave, how would you end H ends? I would love Laurie looking at a burnt Myers house. A character comes up to Laurie, maybe a teenager, and asks, what was he? And Laurie simply says he was Michael Myers. I wouldn't say he was Michael Myers. I wouldn't have her say that. I would have, if that was the case, I'd have her say something else, like he was evil, or he was, the boogeyman, or maybe sometimes what's not said is more powerful than what is said. And maybe a kid says, what was he or whatever? And Laurie just looks to the kid and we see her face and it looks like she's on the cusp of about to answer. And then it just cuts to black. And that's it. That's how you do it. That's Halloween. That's Michael Myers. That's it. You know what I mean? That'd be amazing. Well, I mean, I would probably end ends very similar to how I ended my Halloween sequel concept idea video. It's on my channel now. I think it's got over 50,000 views, if I'm not mistaken. I did it for those of you that don't know. I did this in the summer of 2019, before there was ever even an announcement that there was going to be a Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. And it's 2 hours long, and I did this thing where I talked about. It's not a fan film. It's a concept, and I walk you through it with music and me being my animated self of a direct sequel to Halloween 18 called The Shape. And my approach was, it wasn't going to be 2 extra movies. It was just going to be 1 extra film, and I was going to end the whole thing here. So I would probably take much of what was in my sequel concept idea for The Shape and put it into Halloween Ends. And that very much does have the house burning but I have quite a few characters kick the bucket, including legacy characters and Michael as well. And because I want to bring this, in my opinion, it began with Laurie and Michael. It should end with Laurie and Michael. Laurie should not, I don't believe Laurie should survive. I think her and Michael should die together, really. And I think there is a right way and a wrong way to do that. When I say wrong, there's chintzy ways, there's cheesy ways, there's unsatisfying ways. That doesn't mean you can't reboot the story of Michael again, reboot Halloween 5 years, 10 years down the road. But this version of the story, this version connected to the 1978 original, must end. Great stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You know, the more we go on, the more dog shit these movies, are going to become. So I think, yes, it should end. There should be an ending, not an ending where, Michael is lying there and his eyes suddenly open up or his hand comes. No, don't leave it. No, fucking end it. And no breathing. That would be very symbolic too. That would be good. At the end of Halloween 18, you have breathing. Depending on how Halloween Kills ends, you have breathing. And then when Halloween ends, you have no breathing. I think that's cool. It's very symbolic that way. And if it's done right and you do it, if you end the film with a lot of philosophical tones to it, the mystique and the mystery and the moral of evil never dying and being out there and, the boogeyman, all that can still be preserved. It can still be preserved, despite you can kill Laurie, you can kill Michael, you can still preserve the symbolism of evil never dies. You know what I mean? And the integrity, you absolutely can. And I think I actually did it very well in my sequel concept idea video. For those of you that don't know, because it's not like everybody's going to go over and watch it, I end with the house burning to the ground and Laurie and Michael. Again, I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version. It's much better than maybe this sounds to you in a very sort of point form. But Michael and Laurie die together in that house in Judith's bedroom. And there's a great line at the end. I take something that really isn't canon. It's from the TV version, which technically isn't canon per se. But it's the line that Dr. Loomis says, you think you fooled them, haven't you, Michael? But not me. And that's how I would end the whole thing, is you hear that line from Dr. Loomis, as we're kind of like it's a drone shot, as we're kind of, we're lifting back, we see like the burned house or whatever, and the neighborhood. And then you just hear that line. You hear Dr. Loomis say, you think you fooled them, haven't you, Michael? Pause. But not me. And then it cuts to black and the credits roll. And is that supposed to set up a sequel? No, it's not. It's symbolism. It's cinematic language. It's letting you know that, wait a minute, what's going on? You know what I mean? It's great. For me, I'm not saying you have to end it exactly like that. I'm just saying that if you end it on a philosophical note, with a lot of philosophical tones, with a lot of symbolism, you won't need to have chintzy, cheap, dog shit, dog shit sort of, typical horror movie endings, like the eyes opening and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You won't need that. If you end it on a philosophical note, you won't need that. You won't need that. Because it's all about, and I truly believe this, I truly believe this, is that I think Halloween fans will be satisfied if there's a mature kind of ending to it, where you walk away feeling completely satisfied, but you feel satisfied for two reasons. You feel that it has a real ending, not a fake horror movie ending, a real ending, but yet they've honored the integrity of the boogeyman and the evil and all that. They've done both. And so you feel satisfied. You know what I mean? And then they can let it rest. And then 5, 10 years down the road, whatever, you can restart it. Somebody said in there that I was egotistical, I think. Fashku says you're very egotistical. No, it's not egotistical at all. It has nothing to do with that. When you believe something to be true, when I believe that this is, I'm not just pulling this out of my ass, guys. It has nothing to do with ego at all. It's that I believe this is a good way to end the movie. And if I believe that's a good way to end the movie, and that I think it would satisfy a lot of fans. That's not egotistical. That's me believing in my ideas. That's me believing in what I think to be true. You know, if you yourself believe in something to be true, are you egotistical about it? No, you believe this to be true, and you can quantify the reasons why, right? I never come to the table with not quantifying the reasons why I think something to be true. If I just said, well, I think they should just take my idea. Why? Because it's my idea. Well, that's egotistical. But if I can lay out the reasons why and I can quantify why and give you examples as to why, that's a clearly thought out, clearly assessed, example of why I believe something to be true, based on how I know audiences react, based on how I know what they hate. Everybody hates eyes opening at the end or a hand coming. It's like, oh, fuck again. Like, Jesus, you know what I'm saying? It may depend on your age and your, generation, but I fucking can't stand that shit. Because it's overused. It's an overused trope. So no, it has nothing to do with ego. It has everything to do with, here's what I've laid out. I believe in my assessment. Here's what I think would be satisfying, right? That's what it's all about. It's about, understanding cinematic language, understanding the filmmaking process, understanding what audiences are attracted to, what they're not attracted to, understanding what we've seen 1,000 times before, not just in horror movies, but in Halloween. And I think if you end it on a real sort of philosophical note, I think you're going to satisfy fans. I really do. I really do. So I respectfully disagree with that. Wayne Gawkey sends in $5 and says, I think either the mob or a character in HNs will be faced with the moral dilemma where they have to kill both Laurie and Michael to ensure Michael maybe, man, maybe. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. You might be right. So maybe it's kill me, yeah, maybe that would be definitely a dilemma to have to kill Laurie and again, maybe that's what it's all about, right? When you go back to the original Halloween and you listen very carefully to what the teacher is talking about in the classroom about fate and all that kind of stuff. Like the original Halloween has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? You've heard me say that 1,000 times, right? Again, Michael was not gone at the end of the first movie to set up a sequel. He was gone to bring the message of the movie home. You can't kill the boogeyman. Evil lives. He's always out there, right? There was never supposed to be a sequel. Laurie had a complete arc. She didn't believe in the boogeyman at the beginning. She did by the end of the movie. It was the boogeyman. As a matter of fact, it was. All that stuff, right? We know all that. I've talked about that. But you can use fate. The idea of what the teacher was talking about, you can make that the philosophical blueprint, which they kind of are actually, to the whole idea of these next 3 films. And that, yeah, maybe Laurie and Michael do have to die together. Maybe they do. Maybe to really bring the end to the nightmare, maybe they really do have to die together. Now, again, how they die together, what sequence of events leading up to them dying together, what is the circumstances, what's the context, what's the nuance, I don't know, right? There's my idea from my sequel concept that I think is pretty cool, but there's many other avenues that you could do, right? There's many other avenues that you could go down. But Laurie dying with Michael might be a nice way to bring it full circle, to instill the idea of that, fate and all that shit, and make it feel complete. But you can't just have them die together. You can't just do that because it's going to feel shallow and hollow. You have to have some level of symbolism there, some level of philosophical, you have to. I mean, you don't have to, obviously, but in my opinion, I think you do, because that's what's going to make it feel different. That's what's going to make it feel different than any other fucking horror movie that ends that way. That's what's going to make it feel different than any other ending of a Halloween movie, right? Is if it's going to hit closer to the feels, if you can end it on a more of a philosophical note, where you leave the theater going, ooh, that's deep. Wow, that's eerie. Okay, right? That's what I think you have to do, in my opinion, anyway. So yeah, man, I it's crazy. It's crazy. Michael V sends in $10. Thank you, Michael. Says, sup, Dave? At the 1:33 minute mark in the trailer, how do you feel that they show the actual Silver Shamrock logo on the back of the H3 masks? Easter eggs again, or making H3 canon? Thoughts? Well, it's a good question. Making H3 canon? I think the idea, maybe, okay, so I have two thoughts. My first thought is, I think it's an Easter egg. It's first and foremost a Easter egg. That's what it is, right? We saw the kids, and by the way, I saw some people think that the characters that were wearing the masks in this Kills trailer are the kids from the H-18 film that you see running through the streets in the mask. I don't think it's the kids. Because I think it's clear that it's the one with the skull mask is the nurse, and the one with the pumpkin mask is her husband. I think they're adults. They're not the kids. They're not the kids. Although that would have been fucking cool. That would have been like, wow, holy shit. You know what I mean? In the first movie, because you don't know how well a movie's going to do, so you don't know if you're going to revisit it, it's Easter eggs, right? That's what it is. In this movie, could it be Easter eggs? I don't know. In Halloween 18, I don't believe we ever saw a shot of the Silver Shamrock logo. In this movie, we do. It's first and foremost an Easter egg. But, as I've often said, and a lot of us have, once they wrap up Halloween Ends, please, for the love of cake, just wrap it up and let it go. There's other things you could do. You could do the Charlie Bowl story. I joke about that, but I am totally open to them actually doing something like that. Or you could revisit Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. You could either remake it, you could do a direct sequel to it, or you could do a streaming. You could do like a series. I'm not saying the series would do well, but you might be able to. There's a lot of untapped potential with the story of Season of the Witch. And then you could make it canon, right? You could make them in the same universe, right? Now, I know there's speculation, was the mask that Michael was wearing a Silver Shamrock mask? Again, I hope they don't do that, because that gives answers to questions that are not needed. Because then now it's like, I know there are some people that would love that. There are some people that really like that idea. And on paper, it's cool. Like, the idea in and of itself is cool on paper. But there's so many other things then that I don't think it's needed. I don't think it's needed. Because then you have to explain, well, okay, that might explain the white mask, but what about his clown mask at the beginning of the first movie when he kills his sister when he's 6? Was that a Silver Shamrock clown mask? We got to start, I just think, leave it unknown. No, has nothing to do. Michael had the mask, the white mask, the clown mask, Michael, nothing to do with Silver Shamrock. I just leave it unknown, man. Leave it unknown, in my opinion. But I do think there's an opportunity that you could include. But then you got to think to yourself too, if you're doing a direct sequel to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, but in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, Halloween and Michael wasn't canon. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we saw Dr. Chalice watching Halloween on television. We saw the commercial on TV. So it was self-aware. It was, so how do you retcon that? What do you do? Unless you start over. You don't include Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. You start again. You go back to start again, which I know would rub some people the wrong way. I know there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't like that, but maybe that's what you have to do, because how do you explain, do we get really meta then? And I just think, okay, this is not a very popular opinion, but I'm going to say it. I like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I like it. It's fine. It's cool. It's watchable. I don't love Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I would be perfectly fine if they just remade it. I could not care less. I would be absolutely and unequivocally okay if they just remade that movie. Because I think there is so much untapped potential, even in that first movie, that they could really explore in a remake of that film. Because you'd have a higher budget, you'd have better effects, more, I don't mean a ton of CGI, I just mean better effects, better access to resources, better studios, better post-production, but like better everything, right? It's 2021. I would be okay if they remade that movie. Keep the budget small, maybe make it for, $5 million, maybe 10 million. 10 million is kind of high. Maybe, 5 to 7. Keep it small, right? Relatively speaking, but because you can really, I understand. I really wanted to see the apocalyptic nature of Halloween 3. You know what I mean? Like you could really go to certain places around the world and fucking see shit happening and stuff. Like, or maybe around the States, maybe not the world, but like, the States, because it's beginning there, and I just think there's so much untapped potential, not to exploit, not to turn into a modern day shit show, but really kind of start again and use Halloween 3 as the blueprint and then you cannot have Dr. Chalice, if you use that character again, watching, Halloween on the TV, right? You cannot have that. And then you can actually make Halloween canon in that universe. You could even have Dr. Chalice reading a newspaper article from the Haddonfield Chronicle or something about how Michael Myers is dead and, Laurie Strode died, whatever, right? He could be reading that headline or seeing it online, or maybe he's got to go to Haddonfield for a reason, and whatever, right? Maybe Dr. Chalice works at Haddonfield Memorial. We don't see him in Halloween Kills. We don't see him in Halloween Ends, but maybe, do you know what I mean? I think you get what I'm saying, right? But yeah, I would explore that. I wouldn't necessarily go with, anyways, I know your thing was just, do you think they're Easter eggs or do you think they're canon? And I went off on my tangent. What else is new? But those are my thoughts. Cody Buchanan sends in $5 and says, some people said that the fire is CGI. Is that true? And I hope Laurie has good house insurance. No, I think there's only one shot that they're saying that. The shot that they're saying that is when Michael steps off the steps, we get sort of this medium shot of Michael and he's got his head turned. It does look superimposed. It looks composited. I don't believe that at that moment, James Jude Courtney is standing in front of that fire. It looks composited. Now, I don't think it's all that way. I definitely think the house is on fire. And of course it's controlled, right? I mean, this is why you have these teams that come in and actually set houses and buildings and sets on fire. I was actually back in 2005. When I was still doing more on camera work. I played this role, this bombing victim for this episode, this documentary episode on the Bali bombings, I believe. Or Bali? Is it Bali or Bali? Bali. Maybe it's Bali. And it was for the Discovery Channel. And I remember when I was on set, it was shot here in Toronto. I was on set and had like torn clothes. Everything was great. And they brought in the pyrotechnics team essentially to light like this whole thing, this whole space on fire. And it's very controlled. They have professionals that come in and do this and stunt coordinators and all that kind of jazz. And so even though the house looks like it's a raging inferno, it's controlled, believe it or not. And so no, I do believe that the most of what you're seeing is controlled fire, but there's just that one shot that looks, the fire may be real. James may have just been composited into that one shot, or he might be there, but the fire may have been composited into that one shot. Something is either or there, because it does look CGI, like it looks composited. Yeah. So, but not the whole thing. No, not the whole thing. Let me see here. I don't think I missed any super chats. I think I got all the ones that I needed to get. Oh no, The Shape. Did I get this one? No, I don't think. The Shape sends in $4.99, says, have a feeling they might recreate the unmasking scene from 1978. I hope not. I hope they don't do that. I really hope not anyway. That would suck. The Sound Painter Studio, I like that, says, I was thinking of a Friday the 13th movie where what sets Jason off is not getting drowned in the lake, but the camp beheads his mother when they thought they drowned him to clean up the crime scene. Well, that is sort of, I believe that is kind of what sets him off, if I'm not correct. He drowned in the lake, but what brought Jason back was he apparently witnessed his mother's beheading. So I'm pretty sure that is why Jason came back, if I'm not mistaken. Frank says Professor Dave will be having office hours for those that that want to discuss more. Thank you, Darren. David Lee Barron. Thank you. Where are you, David? David, my man, David Lee Barron. I miss David. Okay, got to go over here. One moment, guys. One moment. Where is it? Here we are. 1 second here. I'll get you, David. I will get you. David Lee Barron sends in $1.99, says, a two dudes, 1992, three ninjas in the future? Maybe. I'd have to find out if Tony ever watched those movies. I remember watching it. I remember the Three Ninjas in the early 90s. I don't know if I've seen them all, but I definitely remember the first one. I was totally into that. I'd have to check with Tony and see if he would be up for that. I'm not entirely sure if he would be up for that or not. But we shall see. Okay, yeah, I think I've got all the super chats so far. Oh, no. Jay Leo sends in $5, says, how would you feel about scenes from the 1978 original showing up in Halloween Ends? You mean like actual scenes? Well, it depends, right? Like it all depends on how it's done. I mean, I don't think it's necessary. I mean, they've shot an entire flashback scene, and it's heavily involved, by the way. Just to let you guys know, it's a heck of a flashback. I don't think it's necessary unless it's crucial to the narrative, and without it, it just doesn't make sense. Whenever you go back, I'm very curious to see this flashback. I mean, I think there's going to be, you know, it's always going to be cool and people are going to like it. But, whenever you can avoid going back and showing something, always try to do that. I just leave Halloween where it is, in my opinion. So, I don't know. I don't know what they would do in that situation. Yes, but you know, you asked, how would you feel about scenes from the 1978 original showing up? I don't know, because I don't know what the story is, right? I don't know if it's necessary. So I'm not really sure. But if it's not necessary, then I would try to avoid it. Let me see here. What else we got? Evil Alex says, Michael represents both meaning of Halloween, the old unknown, dark mythological meaning, and the new dress up in costume getting candy, both the boogeyman and the man dressed up human and not human. Yeah, sure. That's an interesting way to look at it. All right. Yep. No, I don't disagree with what you're saying there. Michael Trapson says Halloween 3 was fire because of John Carpenter. Carpenter made the 1978 dope. Without him, the movies fall short, just like James Wan in The Conjuring 2. I don't know. I get what you're saying. I understand the principle of what you're saying, but I think it comes down to writing. It comes down to, at the end of the day, I think John Carpenter could have directed Halloween 5 and it still would have been dog shit. I think really it's just, you know, the more you, and Michael's different because of that. On the more horror movies you make in a series, it's inevitable that they will become shittier and shittier. And that's just an inevitability, because you have to keep making up stories and reasons to extend the narrative. And, you know, every story should have a good beginning, a middle, and an end. And I think, you know, I'm not against sequels, obviously. I think it's fun. I think you can have great sequels, but I just don't think you can have 9 great sequels. You know, I mean, if you want to do a trilogy, I always like the idea of trilogies, you know, I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't think Carpenter would, I don't think, if it was the same story and the same mask and the same everything, I don't think Carpenter would have saved Halloween 5 or 6. And I'm not even a big fan of H2O. And I don't think Carpenter could have saved Resurrection either. I mean, look at Rick Rosenthal. Rick Rosenthal directed Halloween 2, the beloved Halloween 2, 1981, arguably people's second favorite in the franchise. A lot of Halloween 2, the great Halloween 2, right? Well, that director, Rick Rosenthal, also directed arguably the worst in the franchise, which is Halloween Resurrection. You know, I mean, it's not that directors can't make a difference. Absolutely, 100%. But if it's the same story with the same script, it's an uphill battle, man. It's an uphill climb. It's an uphill climb. So, but I get what you're saying, though. I do get what you're saying. Harry Hagen sends in $5. Harry says, it frustrates me that your H Kills trailer breakdown hit 21,000 views in a few days, while your film took 2 years to while your film that took 2 years to complete is on 24,000 views in a month. Yeah, you know, I mean, thank you, Darren. I'll get to him in a second. You know what? I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's Black Christmas, right? And Black Christmas isn't Halloween. Would we like, we're running an ad right now for It's Me, Billy. Maybe some of you have seen it who don't have the no ads thing. We're running an ad right now. It has improved a little bit over the last week. But it's Black Christmas, and a lot of people there are a lot of people who don't like it, but don't care about it. And, you know, it's one of those movies that a lot of people just haven't seen. It's a very niche cult film, and it's not Michael Myers. You know, it's not Freddy Krueger. It's not Jason. And it's unfortunate. We would have liked to have been closer to 50,000 right now. We think it's achievable, but it also didn't get the press that our trailers were getting either. I don't know why Bloody Disgusting didn't pick up the release of our film. They picked up all of our trailers, and we didn't even ask them to do that. I don't know why. They're not obligated to talk about our film. I mean, they can talk about whatever the fuck they want to talk about. You know what I mean? I mean, they've earned that over the years to pick and choose whatever they want to talk about. But it is a little, I do, unless there's something I don't know, I do find it strange that they would hype up our film covering all the trailers, but then not cover the release of the movie. I find that strange. So that would have been a few extra thousand views probably, you know, because that would have been all over their Facebook and their Twitter and, you know, and the site and all that. So I'm a little disappointed by that, because I just don't understand why, unless they were just so busy, like, listen, we got all this shit that's just taken priority. That may be the case. And nobody else picked it up either, which is a little strange. Even sites that were picking up the trailers didn't pick up the release. So it's a little strange. It didn't get the press that I think it deserves, and that I think that we were hoping for. I mean, it's a fan film, but it's a professionally shot movie. I mean, you know, and that alone, I think, is enough to have a general interest. But you know, it is what it is, right? But we'll see how the film does over the course of we're very proud of it. We're proud of the movie. And we think it's awesome. And the feedback from the fans has largely been positive, you know, and there's nitpicks here or there, like any movie, but at the end of the day, I think most fans are like, yeah, you know, I mean, this is great. You know, it's at the very least the best Black Christmas film in, you know, 40 years. So that's always nice. And we're excited. We hope it continues to gain momentum. Maybe it'll gain some traction by Christmas, right? Or by Halloween, right? Maybe at Halloween time, at Christmas time, you know. We hope it continues to rise in the view count, because obviously we would like to complete the story. The story's not done. We want to show you what happened to Sam. We want to show you what happened to Jess. We want to complete the story of It's Me, Billy. So we're hoping that we have a chance to do that, you know, but the interest has got to be there too. You know, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of manpower and hard work and, you know, putting a film like that together, you know, as you can imagine, as you have astutely said here, Harry. So we're hoping that it can continue, but it's not surprising. Like, I'm not like, this doesn't make any sense. I think there are a number of factors that if they were there would have helped it, like the press that I think it deserves that it didn't get for some weird reason, unless the people just don't like me, which is entirely possible. There's a lot of people that watch me that probably don't like me because, of whatever reason. So I'm not saying that's it. I'm just saying that I know that there's a number of factors. But hopefully it will continue to rise, even slowly but surely. And maybe there's still some awesome people out there that haven't discovered it yet. You know what I mean? That could be the case too. So, but yeah, no, it's Halloween, dude, right? Halloween, If I had shot a Halloween fan film that looked like It's Me, Billy, we'd probably be at 500,000 views right now. Easily. Like that. No problem. The view count on It's Me, Billy, we're very proud of it. It's 24,000 views in a month, and it's a Black Christmas fan film. Black Christmas. Most people don't give a fuck about Black Christmas. But I mean, the film speaks for itself. You know what I mean? It's, just watch the movie and you'll see, right? So yeah. But I get what you're saying though. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's Halloween. Talk about Michael Myers. And look, I mean, if I was talking It's Me, Billy right now, we'd have like 110 people in here. I'm talking Halloween, 267. It's Halloween. People are crazy on Halloween. Right, that's what they are. Thank you, Darren, for getting rid of Mr. Wilson there. I don't know what he was doing, but obviously something that wasn't appropriate. And yes, Amar. Let me get Amar. Let me get him 1 second here. Where the fuck did it go? Yeah, where'd it go? Oh, there we are. Yeah, we're very proud of It's Me, Billy, Harry, and like I said, the feedback has been great. Like we've gotten, you get your trolls, obviously, right? No, it's fucking shit, fucking sucks. Oh, okay, all right, but I would say the response to It's Me, Billy has been overwhelmingly positive, which is great. That's what you always hope for, right? Amar. Yeah, there you are, buddy. Amar, I'm so sorry, buddy. $4.99 says, other than the flashbacks, do you think we'll ever see him wearing a different mask in Kills or Ends? Also, how much comedy do you expect in Kills? I don't expect, I think there'll be, I don't mind a line or something like that. But not peanut butter on my penis, not shit like that. I don't think we'll see that, actually. I don't think we will. I think they're going to want to go balls to the wall serious in this movie. And then do I think we'll see him wearing another mask? I don't think so. I don't think we'll see him wearing another mask. No. Wayne Gawkey sends in $5. I read that one. Michael V, I read that. Cody Buchanan, I read that. And hang on, Harry Hagan. Anthony Stanfield says, really hope they match the throwback mask in Kills. I hope so too, dude. I hope so too. Rad77 sends in $4.99, says, in Dog Shit Resurrection, which I watched again yesterday. My God, what are you subjecting yourself that for? Do you think there'll be any Easter eggs in HK for Resurrection? I don't think they're going to, I don't think so, but I don't think they would discriminate against that. I think it would not surprise me if we saw a Resurrection Easter egg. Wouldn't surprise me. I could see them tipping their hat to everybody. You know what I mean? I could see that. I don't think it's fucking necessary. I don't think it's necessary to tip your hat to any of the Halloween films. I don't think it was necessary to have the Silver Shamrock masks in there at all. I don't think it was necessary to call it Haddonfield Memorial and have the exact same logo. It's cute. It's cute, but I don't think it's necessary. And the reason I don't think it's necessary is because those films don't exist. Halloween 2 doesn't exist. So you could have called it Haddonfield General. You could have had a completely different logo. I understand it's an opportunity to tip your hat to Halloween 2, but it doesn't change the narrative. Whether it's called Haddonfield Memorial or Haddonfield General, whether it's got the same logo or not, does not have any impact on the outcome of the movie. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily necessary. Not necessarily necessary. Anthony Bazzuto sends in $1.99, says, Dave, missed my super chat. Anthony, I missed your super chat. I'm going back. Yes, there it is. Okay, Anthony Bazzuto, $4.99 says, Dave, rewatching Halloween 2, 1981 yesterday. Loomis has a great line in the Marshal's car. We're all afraid of the dark inside ourselves. Yep. Love that line, man. Love that line. That is awesome. Okay, how am I doing? Am I, because I got to get off here. Somebody's going to take that and they're going to totally make that like a GIF, like I'm talking about getting off some sort of sexual thing. I have to end the show. There we go. I have to end the show. You got to be so careful online. Sweet Tea sends in $5. Thank you so much, Sweet Tea, and says, "Hi, Dave. I feel like David Gordon Green. The tea is sweet today. I feel like I always got to say that. I feel like David Gordon Green took some of your Halloween ideas, like Michael kills all the firefighters. Just my opinion. Listen, you're not the first person that has said that. I don't think that's true at all. Yes, in my sequel concept idea video, there are similarities. I even said in that and this was long before there was even an announcement of a sequel. There are similarities, but I even say in my video, there's only so many directions you can go. When you are, and I don't mean this in an egotistical way, if that same person is watching, when you are film savvy, when you understand film, as some of you may do out there as well, and you look at what came before, what's a natural progression, right? I said that this is going to pick up right where the last one, it should, and it does, right? Not because I have some sort of crystal ball, but it makes sense. I also could have been wrong, but it makes sense. So I think there's a lot of things that are appearing very similar in this movie that was in my sequel concept, not because they've copied me, but because there are only so many directions you can go, right? The house is on fire. Well, firefighters are going to show up, right? Michael's in there. He's got to escape. There's an opportunity to kill firefighters. You know what I mean? Like, it's just anybody could have come up with that. I just think that it's more of a it's more of an example of not copying me. They don't listen to me. It's more of an example of just being on the same page creatively, and just understanding, okay, here's how the story ends. Where do we go? Do we do this, that, or the other? Well, we do this. Makes sense to me. Okay, I'm going to do that. And they obviously felt the same way, So that's how I see it. That's how I see it. And I even made that distinction at the beginning of that video where I said any coincidence, any things that end up in kills that kind of sound like what I'm saying is purely coincidence. You know what I mean? Purely coincidence. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I missed your message too, Jonathan Grant. Boy, I'm not on the ball today, but there's a lot coming in. Fuck is this? I missed yours too. You're right, I did. $4, £4. Hey Dave, you rock. Keep the mystique alive. Keep the mystique alive, Jonathan. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. All right, folks, listen, that's going to do it for me for episode 184 of McRae Live. I want to thank my amazing moderators, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, and Chris Baber, for doing what you guys do. Obviously, the more people that are in the chat room, the more work you guys got to do. So it does not go unappreciated. You guys are amazing. Also, do not forget to check out the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast, hosted by two of my great moderators, Frank Riker and Darren Sands. Just YouTube, the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast. Great stuff, great chemistry. I've been on there a number of times. Yeah, maybe it's a shameless plug, but I would not be plugging my moderator's podcast if I did not actually think it was a good podcast. And I sincerely mean that. I just would not talk about it. And I mean that. It is great. And they're continuing to grow. They talk horror movies that I don't talk about here. So please do yourself a favor, head over to and you have to YouTube the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast. Actually, if Darren wants to throw a link into the chat room right now, feel free to do that, because it's great shit. Like, I sincerely mean that. The kibitzing, the back and forth, the chemistry, the topics they talk about, I'm like, fuck, I should have thought of that. Like on Saturday night, this past Saturday night, they did a Halloween quiz show. And I'm like, fuck, why didn't I think of that? That's amazing. And they're going to do more in the future. So, great stuff, great stuff. And I'm totally getting in on the next Halloween quiz shit, because I actually watched it back after and I did it myself, and I actually did pretty well. So just saying, I want to get in on that shit. I want to get in on that shit. Of course, now I'll get in on one that I know no answers to. I'll look like a complete knob. All right. So, yeah, folks, have a great rest of your Tuesday. And if you want to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it's all down in the description, as well as links to my official websites, my IMDb, my whatever. It's all down there. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I will talk to you guys soon. Alrighty. Cheers.